can vouch for that.
When I was on first with Samantha, she was talking about Braden and Christian and the nature of the rivalry.
Yes. Not the same anymore.
What do you attribute that to? Do you think it's travel sports? Do parents not care anymore? I mean, what do you think that is?
That's part of it, but Bradenton went up to 3A, so we just stopped seeing them, and now they're back down to 2A.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
The joy.
Well,
The joys.
it may show live on your end, but it's not showing on Facebook yet. So give me a second, try to figure out why this is not working. Of course, it might be on Facebook and I don't know it. There it is. All right, I think we're good. Hello, everyone in our alumni Faith Warrior Nation. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is season 2, episode 11 of the Alumni podcast. And tonight we have a very special show. This is the third in the trilogy, a 3-part series that captures all 4 of the Bayshore State Volleyball champions, starting in 1998, the back-to-back champs in 04 and 05. And tonight we have very special guests representing the 2007 state championship team. And I'm going to go around the little boxes here and let y'all introduce yourselves. And of course, Coach Mel. So thank you everyone for joining us. It's going to be a great show. We'll start with, I know her as little Ashley Balangey. She's the little sister of Nick and Russell Balangey. Obviously, they're better known as Ashley's Ashley's brothers. Ashley, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know what's happening in your life since the days at Bayshore.
I am now Ashley Kennedy. I have been married for 3 years, going on 4. I have a little girl. She will be 3 in January, Adeline Kennedy. I stayed at home for a very long time after I had her. So I now work at a little t-shirt shop in Plant City, Florida. So I moved kind of out of Tampa and into the country. And that is kind of it. I mean, me and my family are still super close. And I keep in touch with a couple of the girls, and yeah.
That's really good. Before I move to the next guest, Freddie Tomasello is already commenting on Facebook. Coach Mel is the greatest volleyball coach ever. So Fred is waving and saying hello. Now turn to Joyce Tomlin. Joyce, 2007 state champs. Tell us a little bit about your life since that time and introduce yourself.
Well, I'm still Joyce Tomlin. I have 2 little girls. I have one that goes to Bayshore. She's in kindergarten. And I just had a 2-month-old who I'm sure will be at Bayshore before I know it. Still live in Tampa area. I'm with Publix. I'll celebrate this month, actually 15 years with Publix. And my family, we are extremely close, probably closer than we ever have been. We see each other very often.
That's awesome. Now Tomlin, much like Balangey, and I'm going to ask Samantha, Melanie, Bayshore has a lot of legacy. Isn't there more than one Tomlin that's connected to Bayshore?
There's a lot of us. Yes. My older sisters went to Bayshore. My mom taught at Bayshore and is now an aide at Bayshore. I think she's been there over 30 years, 31 years.
Wow, that is awesome.
My dad is pretty much a staff there. It is everyone's Chick-fil-A tea getter.
That is great. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm an alum, but I'm so old. This is all happening after my time, which was so long ago. We'll turn to Samantha. You have Bayshore legacy blood in you as well with your mom and your sister. Introduce yourself and tell us what's been happening since those halcyon days of domination in 07, 08.
Well, so I was Samantha Stokes. I'm Samantha Loomis now. I have a little girl and she is just a little over a year old, and we are expecting our second, a little boy, coming in January, February sometime. And yeah, basically I do medical massage. Can't do it right now, but that's kind of what I've been doing since basically I got out of high school, through college and everything. But yeah, I'm mom and a wife, and when I'm allowed, I do massage. So that's pretty much it. Lots of moving around, but we are back in the Tampa Bay area right now, so it's good to be in the area.
That's great. And again, thank you ladies for joining us tonight. We're going to turn now to Coach Melanie Umansky. This is the 10-year dynasty. It's actually been a dynasty going on for 20 plus years almost. I mean, multiple district titles in a row, whatever it was, 10, 11, 12 years. Had a really good year this year. I think y'all went 16-11, very competitive to traditional Bayshore domination. I'm going to jump right in with questions. This team went 28-5, I think. I'm always fascinated by the losses more than the wins. And the reason is because you guys were expected to win. But if I look at it, it's really a lot of good public schools you played. You beat most of the public schools. Pine Castle Christian got you twice, and Indian Rocks Christian. Tell us a little bit about that. Was that surprising? I mean, were they the new kids on the block trying to knock down Bayshore? What were those games like?
Who's first?
We'll go with you. Oh, no. Yeah, we'll go with you and talk about Pine Castle a little bit.
Oh goodness, I remember driving to Orlando to go to Pine Castle. You know, I honestly don't remember those particular teams. I just remember those games because you traveled and then you were expected to play at your utmost. And so that was always a long drive. It wasn't like in Kissimmee. It was truly in the heart of Orlando. So it was always a long drive to get there. But I always remember playing them close and playing them neck to neck. But I don't want to talk about the losses. I want to talk about the
Well, let's go straight into let's go straight into some wins. I mean, you had we just mentioned Bradenton Christian. You took care of them pretty easily. Tampa Catholic. I didn't know they were good at volleyball. You took care of Academy Holy Names. Tell us a little bit about that team. You're 2 years removed from the third state title, the back-to-back teams. You have some of your former players here tonight. What was that team like? Was it young? Was it experienced? What was it preparing for the season?
So this group of girls sat in the bleachers through all of those other games. These are homegrown Bayshore girls. These are not girls that are just coming in and trying to be a part of something. They were already a part of something and they had something to prove. So whereas like the first state title, nobody was expecting anything. And then the two in the middle, you know, they're now removed. This group was like, I remember specifically having a conversation with Ashley and she's like, no, I am not until I have a state title. And Sammy, of course, was like, no, my sister's not going to have one up on me whatsoever. And the Tomlins were a part of every team. So it wasn't just, you know, one or the other, but they had a point to prove and they worked hard. They played club, they were in the gym. They were certainly committed from the beginning, but it was because it was in their blood. That's what they wanted.
That's very good. Ashley, tell us a little bit about that season. Had you all, like Mel just mentioned it, I mean, you're a Bayshore legacy. I mean, this is all the way up. Y'all are homegrown. Did you always love volleyball? When did you start playing? And when did you know this team could be special?
I played from like 6th grade through. I was a cheerleader, which obviously is all over the alumni page. But 6th grade, I found it and I like just fell in love. And I was in the bleachers, like Mel said, watching the other girls play, winning state, everything like that. And then my junior year, I was still the setter and Bradenton beat us at regional finals and that was devastating. So coming in senior year, I was like, oh yeah. So it was a lot of work. And then just the girls wanted it. We were hungry. We didn't want to leave the gym. We wanted to sleep there. Like it was on.
That is awesome. And turning to you, Joyce, what same sort of questions. When did you start in volleyball? When did you know that this particular team was going to be special? It's a lot to live up to with all those championship banners. What were your thoughts coming into that season?
Before I get into that, I'll let you know. I think Gabby's in the waiting room. She just
Oh.
messaged on the group if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, let me take a look at that. And why don't you keep going and I'll figure that out.
Okay. Well, I was always in the gym watching the girls practice when I was younger, passing against the wall. I was not the best player, but I always watched and enjoyed seeing the other teams. was there for the first state championship and many games after that. So I really got to see Mel build her legacy of everything that she did for over the years. Hi, Gabby. And then I remember being at the 2 back-to-backs games and watching Adria and all of them play and how they turned it around after losing. And I knew that I wanted that for our team as well. Knowing that we were special, I think it's like any team, you kind of start out and every team kind of has to sync up and get together and jive. And we all kind of had, I want to say, if I remember right, kind of like a big heart-to-heart game. Afterwards, we're like, listen, like we either got to get it together, like ship up or ship out.
What game was that? What game was that?
Oh, I tell you, I have no idea. Yeah. I just remember I think there was kind of like a moment of, listen, if we're going to make this happen, like this, we got to do it now. And then, everyone just started vibing, and then we had such a good relationship with everyone, and it showed on the court.
And so there's a buy-in moment that y'all had that really propelled the remainder of the season. We want to welcome Gabby Fernandez. Gabby, thanks for joining us. Help us out. I think there's there you go, an unmute button. Very good.
I know, I live in constant chaos, so unmute is not my friend.
No problem. We'll be circling around asking questions, and thank you for joining us. We're going to turn now to Samantha. So same sort of questions, but also, oh wait, hold on. Facebook, John Harville says Bayshore strong ! So he's watching this show tonight. Samantha, it's not only when did I think this team would be good, you're living with a state champion. What was that like? Was it a rivalry? Did you want to live up to her? Did you want to surpass her? What was that like in the house?
So, I watched the podcast with, them, of course. I had seen just what it was like to really be a part of a team that they kind of had this thing. It was a indescribable quality, if you will, that made you just really want to experience the things that they were going through. All the team building, all of the, winning.
Right.
Winning is really great, but just also all the work that they put in. There was a lot of work that they put in. They worked very hard, and there's actually the thing I wanted more than anything was to wake up to a sign in my yard that we were going to skate. Like, silly.
I forgot about those.
But
I love those.
that is genuinely the moment that I knew we had, and she wouldn't do it until you made it to the state final. Final four was not an option. Like, yeah, all the way to the end. And I wanted it bad. So yeah, I would say there was a rivalry, but it was more, I knew my sister was always going to be better than me. So there was not really a rivalry. So she was always very much so pushing me to be the best that I could. And, gotta love her for it. So.
And two completely different positions. So on the court, they were very different players.
I think it's so heartwarming when we do these podcasts, because there's such a distinguishing nature between the guys who would have probably, gotten a fight playing one-on-one versus the support that the sisters gave to one another and that the girls gave to one another, and how it translated into such winning over such an extended period of time. I think that's really neat. I'm going to turn to you, Gabby, if you have a moment there. If you can unmute, thank you for joining us tonight. What was your thoughts leading into this season? Did you expect this yourself to perform well? Did you expect this team to do well leading into 07-08?
Gosh, that was just so long ago. It's even crazy to think back to that time. I think that just what was so special about our team, like Joyce mentioned, is that the bond that we had. Like that is a bond that it really is hard to mimic. And what Mel did such a beautiful job of, I think, in the culture that she had, was making things feel like a real family. And I think that goes so far beyond the court, but definitely is shown on the court during those hard moments where you really have to fight for one another. It's shown, like all of those before game, things that we used to do. Those are the moments where that shows. And it's also the moments where when you don't have that family, it shows as well. So I think that's what, honestly, that's what sticks out in my mind the most, is just the family culture that she just, innately brings out in her teams.
That's really awesome. And as you say that, John Harville, again, is commenting on Facebook. He says, if you play for a Valdez, there will be a family atmosphere. So Melanie's got that Valdez bloodline, as we've said so many times, that family comes through. Gabby, we mentioned with your teammates there that a lot of Bayshore legacy. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think your father taught at Bayshore.
He did.
With us, of course. I know we probably all miss him. But a beloved figure at Bayshore, apparently, as a teacher. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. So that's really, I know that the other night, Coach Volpe mentioned Mr. Fernandez. That was probably him, I think.
Probably.
Yeah. That he loved working with, that he really loved your father. So that's really neat.
Yeah.
Melanie, turning back to you, 0708 is here, and there's 3 state titles. There has to be, and you tell me how many district titles in a row, but either before we came on the air, or I just heard the year before, we apparently lost in regionals to a dreaded rival or a dreaded opponent, Bradenton Christian. Did you enter the off season before 0708 during that summer thinking this team will be a redemption tour, that we are going to get back? Or were you concerned? Did you have all the pieces necessary to make another state championship run?
They were all there. I don't think after the back-to-back, I don't think we ever questioned whether we were supposed to be there. It was a matter, that's the expectation, and we need to get there. So after this state title, the following year, after Ashley graduated, we went back and we were runner-up. And then after that, it started to slide, and it became regionals, and then just back to districts. But those are big deals. Regionals and districts are big deals still. But once you have met that goal of being a state title team, your players don't want you to bring that bar down.
Right.
And so that's why the girls are in the living room right now watching that match. Our season finished 2 weeks ago, but they have seen these pictures on the wall and they're like, it's time for another one. Those are old. You don't look the same anymore.
Hey.
No, you don't want to talk about me, not y'all. They're like, it's time for another one. And they're starting to see and want that same desire, because once you reach that level, you don't want to drop it. And the girls don't want you to. They expect you to hold them to a high level.
It's you just said it, and I think we've said it on other podcasts. What an extraordinary group of young ladies you had over such an extended period of time to have so much success, because in reality, most schools, your primary objective is district title, because it's common opponents, common geography, common student populations. That's what most people try to win. Bayshore is trying to not win a district title. They're trying to win a state title every year. And that's a testament to all the accomplishments of these young ladies. Ashley, turning back to you, I know your 2 brothers, and so I keep repeating it. Did you ever get to say at the dinner table, hey guys, sorry, can you pass the ketchup or whatever to me first, because I'm the state champion? Like, did that ever come up in the household?
No, I think they were just extremely excited. Because there's age difference between them and I. So I was always the princess and the little girl. So that is just like, they picked on me. Even if I was a state champion, they didn't care in a sense. They just picked on me anyway for it. So it was never really an issue.
Who did you like beating the most during your volleyball career?
Oh, probably Bradenton and Cambridge.
Okay. Why Cambridge?
They were just the closest rival. We always went back and forth. From what I can remember, it's been a while.
Right.
But they definitely always were the ones that talk smack, I guess. I don't know. So they were just always the closest to what I would consider probably the second Bayshore in a sense, like very small, very homegrown. So it was kind of like they were always the ones to beat for me.
That's really a very polite and kind way of saying, because I would of course say Cambridge can't hold water. Bayshore Christian should be thankful they're in the same building with us. So that's very nice of you to say. We'll turn to Joyce. Joyce, looking at that season, before that season, were you on varsity volleyball? Did you plan on making varsity volleyball? Did you anticipate the work that was required to be successful? Were you self-driven? Was it coach-driven, teammate-driven? What was that experience like?
Well, these are all great questions. I think Mel actually lowered the bar. You had to make a minute suicide, or you didn't make. And I think she cut it short for me specifically because I could not make that suicide at all. So I think she cut it short for me just to make it. I think I made varsity by the skin of my teeth every single year. And genuinely, I was not going to play my senior year. I was like, the year that we won state, I was not going to play. My mom really, really wanted me to. And I was like, Mom, I could do so many more things. I'm not a player for this sport. It's not my sport. And Janica really pushed me, another player on the team, to just play and be part of it. It was more about the atmosphere and the environment. It was, for me at least, I was not a player, a big player. I was there for the support for the girls, to be part of the atmosphere of it. And that's what I got.
That's really good. You mentioned another player, I think Janica Mollett, correct me on the last name. She was certainly a major contributor during those championship seasons. What would you have done different if you didn't play volleyball? What would you have done? You said there were other things you could do. I mean, when I'm growing up, it's Britton Plaza on Friday night. What is Joyce Tomlin doing if she's not doing volleyball?
I might have gotten better grades maybe. But I would have still gone to all the volleyball games. I still would have been a part of it one way or another. But yeah, probably studying, or, I played playing softball on a club team. But I'm glad that I didn't. I'm glad I stuck with it. Very
good. Got a few more Facebook comments. Jerry Pippin, which is Dina Pippin's mom, longtime, I think she was Bruce Williams, the pastor's secretary, I think, at the church, longtime Bayshore, part of the Bayshore network families, says BCS with an exclamation point. And then Scott Crone, who was in school a decade before you ladies, is watching, and he says he's class of 96. He's asking Mel if you have the same vein that your father has when he's screaming at all of us on the basketball court. Did you ever have a vein like Herman?
I don't think so, but I did have the body language and the facial expression, so they knew that.
That is so great. We're going to turn out Samantha. Samantha, I mentioned it with your teammates there. And I sort of already asked the question, but I guess I'll go a little further. Leading into the season, what was the work ethic? What was required of you to get ready for that season? Was there, Mel already mentioned there's club volleyball, things like that, but what were all the things you did in preparation and knowing what you were going to try and accomplish that year?
So I did play club the season before, and that was some of the hardest and worst days of my life, but that's okay. It did help prepare for a very competitive.
Why were they the worst days? Give us an example of what that represents.
Oh, it's just a very different, like Gabby said, there's a huge difference between playing with a family of players and playing with, truly, they're only there for themselves and to really, get seen. to win, and that's it. And it was a bit of a culture shock for me coming in. And, I mean, I had fantastic coaches and I learned a lot. And I do feel like that high pressure made me prepared for the following season, because I had been on the team the year prior when we lost to Bradenton Christian, and it was rough. So I really wanted to soak up and get as much as possible to prepare. Because Janica was coming back to Bayshore, and she and Ashley had said like they were not playing like this year. It's happening, and either get with it or get out because we're going. Dang it! So there was a lot of, good pressure. You had the bad pressure with club of just personality differences, and then you come onto a team with coaches who are invested in you and who care about you, and players who have been there right with you when you lost before. It's just, Joyce can say all day long that she wasn't a player, but she kept me sane, which
I kept a lot of stats.
a lot of work. So I've always been a bit of a mental case. So Joyce she kept me positive throughout that entire season. And, so that was a huge prep for the year, was just, really getting into the relationships. And physically we had to run a mile in 8 minutes, and like Joyce said, run the suicides in a minute. So
I'm done.
Did anybody not make, Samantha, did anybody not make the 8-minute mile?
I don't think I did. I did not like to run. It was the worst thing ever.
Wait,
And
did
Melanie
y'all run?
would on Bayshore, and her and Coach Melanie would drive by in the car. Like, come on. Oh.
That is outstanding. That is outstanding. That is a Bayshore tradition, running Bayshore. That's really awesome. Gabby, we're going to turn to you and ask sort of the same questions. And ladies, if I ask, I may be asking questions that are repetitive. Feel free to tell your story. Gabby, I want to ask you, this is just such a high performing group of young ladies. Did you, what was the work product for you in the off season leading up to this? Was it travel ball? What did you do to get ready for the season? Was it as hard? Was the preparation as hard as you anticipated? And did you achieve the objectives you thought? Obviously the team did.
So I think the year prior was my first year of club volleyball, and our state championship, I was an 8th grader, I think. So I was the only 8th grader on the team, I think, or maybe I was a freshman. No, I think it was my first year on varsity, and I was in 8th grade. I was the only one. So that was my first year of club 2. So the preparation, it was high. I think that was my objective, was to make varsity, and I did make varsity. So that was incredible. I was so excited. I remember seeing my name on like the little roster that you posted, and I like jetted up to my dad's classroom right after, and he was like screaming. So yeah, it was just, it was awesome. But yeah, the work was there. Like we were working as hard as any other state champion was that year. Like you said, like we were running, the conditioning was not the problem, was not going to be a problem. But what were you going to say?
No, I was going to, forgive me for interrupting. I wanted to ask a question. Was on the travel circuit, are you running into opponents that you would see during the school season? And was there like trash talking or rivalry type exchanges?
I think, for club and school, yeah, you run into a lot of the same type of players for sure. But I think that there's a different level of it's sometimes a different level of volleyball. It's really not super comparative. So I never had a situation where there was like trash talking from the school year. Okay. I don't think, I didn't really run into that much. But more of like the stigmas, I think, run from like high school to club, like, whatever your stigma was on the court for high school, would carry over to your club season.
That's very interesting to me. Mel, we're going to turn to you, and ladies, what we're looking at is about the playoffs and leading into the state championship games themselves. There'll be a series of questions about classmates that did not play volleyball, your favorite teacher, that sort of thing. So we're going to go around the room for all those type of things. Mel, a few questions for you. First, was travel volleyball beneficial or was it harmful for team preparation for the season?
It was beneficial. It's not, so in the last 10 years, it's really shifted, and where it used to, when these girls played, it wasn't year round. They truly had a dedicated club season where you tried out after the high school season in late November, and then you started in January and you played through June. Now it's, so back then I would say, no, it was not harmful. It was definitely beneficial because they're developing their skills and bringing back better strengths and strategies. And, you know, learning from other coaches is always fantastic. You bring it back and then I would learn from them and then we would put it all together. That's not the case anymore. Now it's always been political. It's always been about money, right? That's how to make a living. But now it's every weekend, and even during your season, there's workouts, and I feel my heart breaks for these girls who want to do well because it's exhausting now, but you almost feel like you have to in order to get the right spot on the club team, in order to make the traveling team that you want to participate on. So with these girls, I think it was definitely beneficial. It definitely helped us. The sad part is it was so stinking expensive. And that still is the case as well. And it's sometimes we're a middle-class family school, and our families work hard to get their kids to Bayshore. And then it's like, well, how do we make a sacrifice to get them into club? And a lot of families did sacrifice. And so it was beneficial to us.
I want to stay with you. That was a good feedback and appreciate it. I want to read some of the victories. Of course, Bradenton Christian, you swept. Then you beat Tavares High School. That's got to be a 3A or 4A. Winter Springs High School. Freedom High School in Orlando had to be 4A. Merritt Island. Then here's Sefner Christian and Cambridge Christian. You swept. That brings joy and tears to my eyes of happiness. Durant Public High School got us. But then we beat St. John Lutheran, Academy of Holy Names. I mean, just a lot of really great wins, great victories. Tell us about the postseason. Is the Bayshore crowd all there? Is it a sellout crowd whenever we play or following the girls to road games? And then tell us about Warner Christian in the state championship game. I mean, did you expect to beat them? Did you well scout them? What was the preparation like for the state title?
I think I've said before, I was never really, and I'm still not a big individual of scouting. Yes, it's important to know your opponent, but I also think that our game's not going to change based on what's on the other side of the net. So we would make tweaks and adjustments, but if our girls played to their best ability, which they did, we were always successful. So Warner is in Daytona, and they hadn't been on the scene recently. We're newer to the volleyball scene. So we had seen them now a couple of times. I think we saw them after this particular year. Then we started seeing Warner a little bit more. But again, that expectation was, we're here to do this, so let's just finish the job that we were sent to do.
I mean, it's Bayshore Christian. I mean, these people should be thankful they're even allowed to play us. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Ashley, turning to you, Warner Christian, it looks like we won 3-1, if that's the correct match score, or what the right description for volleyball. Did you think anything of them, or did you go into the state championship game saying, you know what, we're Bayshore, we're going to win?
To be honest, it was kind of a blur. But you don't go in cocky, especially state. You walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, we made it. Like, you're looking around because it's a huge stadium. So you're hearing your fans, you're trying to focus, the scene's completely different. And it's a extremely different atmosphere when you're serving on the side of the net and there's like no wall there.
Right.
So things like that definitely is.
Did you guys go, forgive me for interrupting, did you guys go practice anywhere? Maybe Melanie can answer, but Ashley, if you can answer, did y'all go practice anywhere without the wall so you'd be used to that depth perception?
Mel will have to
Don't
answer.
remember? Yeah. That makes it really hard. I understand. Yeah, very good.
So just going in and trying to be humble and like stay connected as a team, like just riding over to Lakeland and like trying to stay pumped and like listening to your warm-up music and everything like that was definitely the team building that we were like, we have to do this. Like we have rituals, like we have to do this.
What was the warm-up music back then?
It was a mixture. I know that on the back of our shirts, our warm-up shirts said, remember the name, and it had every single person's last name on the back of their shirts. So that was our slogan that year. If that says anything. So I know that was one of the songs. I know it was the typical, like the one that everyone knows. I even forget it honestly until I hear it.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Right.
Right. And still when that comes on, it's like the warm up goes through my head.
Mhm.
But I don't remember all of the songs. I think there were some worship songs in there.
Good.
But yeah.
That's really
That
good.
year, Steve, I'm going to interject real quick because when they came, I think we played, was it Bradenton in our gym? And
Okay.
they started singing The Enemy Has Been Defeated. Wasn't that?
I think so.
Very good.
Yeah, I think so. So all of our student body was there. I think it was either a blackout or something. So they're all dressed accordingly and they all ran out to our warm-up music. It was great. But then when Bradenton came out, they started singing The Enemy Has Been Defeated.
Is there any video of this? Like, can't we get some video on the Facebook page?
I
You
don't
should
know
have some
about
video.
that. Mr. Prophet reminded me of that. I didn't remember it because I was focused on the girls in the game, but he made sure I knew that.
Well, ladies, if you have any video representation of any of this happening, please send it to us. We'll make sure to make it a world broadcast.
Your dad might have video.
Yeah, he might. I mean, honestly, my dad he taped a lot of our games. Like,
Yeah, I
Mhm.
remember your dad standing at the top videotaping.
I mean, y'all are young and your children are very young. And so all of that takes precedent. But when you get older, you want to remember all this stuff. So I'd like to celebrate y'all's success. Joyce, turning to you, different question. What was game day like at school? Go to Melanie's house. What was game day for the volleyball team like?
I loved game days because usually we got to dress. I feel like we did, maybe we didn't. I feel like we always got to wear jeans that day and like a game day t-shirt. So that was always nice. And it was just fun. We got to, as soon as school got out, we go outside and you hop in cars and you go to Mel's house and a parent would cook something amazing. Usually Gabby's dad cooked awesome food. And we would just sit and eat and just laugh and have fun. And then Mel would always do a devotion and then we'd all have our hair the same. My daughter even calls it volleyball hair, where you have your braid and then your hair up. And then you kind of ride to school and I know like me and Gabby, I think we would always ride in Sam's car and we would blare music up and you kind of went in knowing like we're going into our home gym, we're going to see our fans, and you walked in big. So it was always fun. Game days they're just fun days. And I mean, most of the time, we were a winning season. So most of the time you left with a win. So that made it even more fun. And they're just fun. And then you go to school the next day and everyone talks about it and they're just fun.
Staying with you, Joyce, what was your favorite game day meal and which parent cooked it? Do you remember?
Ooh, I want to say Mr. Fernandez would cook pasta. I remember pasta, a lot of pasta meals. So
What about last question for you, Joyce, then we'll turn to Samantha. The most memorable devotion, whether you remember the biblical verse, maybe you remember how it impacted the team spiritually or in preparation for a game. Do you have a memory of a devotion that stands out?
I don't have a specific one, but I just felt like Mel, you always knew when she was preparing her devotion because she would step away in her room for a little bit. We would all kind of be together and she would step away and then she would come out and it was kind of like, okay, like, all right, devotion time. And then let's get ready to go. And it felt like she just had like the most perfect one every single time. Like she puts so much thought into them. And you can really tell because she had so much to go with it, or she had a little book that she would read that we were going through, I think at the time. And they were just spot on every time of what we either needed to hear personally for our own lives or what our team needed. So I don't have a specific one. They were all so good.
Right. Well, that's really good. That's a great answer. Samantha, turning to you, sort of the same questions because I liked those. First, game day, what that was like for you, any particular memory? They dressed up your locker or your parking spot or your car with BCS stuff, something like, I mean, whatever it would be, but something you remember from game day. And then of course, maybe your favorite meal. It sounds like Mr. Fernandez's pasta is going to be a recurring theme. And then your favorite or most memorable devotion. If you could share those with us.
Sure. So game day was always the only word I can think of is hype. There was just a lot of hype for game day, like not just for the players, but all day long. It was kind of one of those things that just everybody knew it was a game day. Teachers knew, other students knew, and it was, Mr. Prophet was always game to poke or make sure we were really prepared to be competitive that night, because he always had some kind of fake scout or something like that, like, well, I heard that they've got a 6'4" girl who knows you, she was and I'm like, it was just one of those things Mr. Prophet would do. But yeah, I mean, we had great fans. It's that Bayshore environment, they had your back and you knew they had your back, and really just and being, like you said, I have a sister who had done it before me and she was one of our assistant coaches, and there's something about our routine that we would do that it made a difference, and trying to make that routine happen on the road was just a little bit weird sometimes.
Our routine was intimidating, and I think we all knew that it was to other teams.
We're great.
Very good.
Like we were scrambling to find a hallway to bang on the walls so that we could run out. Like we need this. What are you talking about? There is no hallway we can commandeer. So yeah, there were things. It was a highly mental portion of the game, and like Joy said, the devotions always had something specific that we may have been talking about all week long in practice that just hadn't hit, or it was the thing that we didn't even realize that we needed, and then that day it really was exactly what we needed. I grew up going to Mel's house with the teams before I was on the team, because I would take stats or whatever, anything to get around more volleyball. And so finally being able to just be part of that routine and it not just be, I think I was even there back in the day when my sister and I were both tagging along. So there's a lot of memories of Mel's house, and just, when you entered her house, you were family, and it was everybody sprawled out on, I don't know how she did it, honestly, because I can imagine, especially with two small children, but yeah, game days were awesome. They're some of my best memories, because I mean, obviously winning helped, but regardless, having that routine and, blaring music in cars on the way to the game, it's, you can't reproduce it for anything else.
No, that's really great. And all the ladies.
Taco salad. We ate a lot of taco salad.
Oh, very good. Who made the taco salad?
I don't know, but it was good.
I think my mom did. I think that was
very good. That is awesome. Okay,
the only thing to make.
We can't let you go without asking your most memorable devotion. then we'll turn to Gabby and we'll circle back around. Do you have a most memorable devotion?
You know, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you a specific one. I could tell you a specific game. I remember what game it was.
Yeah, please.
It was before we played Indian Rocks, and that was a really hard game for me. I mean, I played club against a lot of those girls. OVA was a very prominent club at the time. And so we played against a lot of them. For me, that, you know, just trying to prove something in off season so that you were prepared, you know, for your season. So, and I hadn't necessarily proved myself very well in club to prepare for high school season. So on season. So it was like one of those, okay, we really have to do well. So it was just I remember it being exactly what I needed to hear to kind of just like,
okay,
recenter. I mean, it was a hard game, but regardless, I felt like it had prepared me mentally. Cause again, mental has always been a hard thing for me for games. I just get into my head. So.
Very good. I mean, but in that particular game though, that devotion worked and helped you out a lot. That's really great to hear. Gabby, we're going to turn to you now, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on the state championship game day. And I don't know, so please tell the story, and maybe Mel can fill in as well. I mean, did we drive over on game day? Are we in a hotel the night before? What was that experience like? When did you start zoning in on your opponent? Tell us all those things about the state title experience.
I am like, I am like so impressed with your guys' memories. As you guys are saying this, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Like now I'm getting back on track. I'm like, I don't know what's happened between now and then, but I'm thoroughly impressed. Like viewed notes before this. I don't know what it is, but I think championship morning, we got to get out of school early, if I'm not mistaken. So we would leave at like 10 o'clock or something, which is already a win. And then we all drove over on the bus, and then would just kind of warm up and get, like you mentioned, our mental state kind of there. And then, I mean, it was time. I mean, I don't think there was much, was there? Maybe we went to eat in between. Like I said, guys, I'm impressed with your memory. At this point, I'm like, okay, maybe I couldn't tell you. But yeah, I think Mel did a good job of, like she was mentioning, like preparing us for these things so that we really didn't have to do much. Like we really just had to give it all in practice and show up on game day and do what we had to do. We knew like little things, like this is the best player on the team, like watch, she does this. And I remember Mandy used to, you know, maybe do what she was doing, but it really wasn't a lot of like exact, like we are going to change our whole, you know, scheme to fit this team. Here's a few things that we need to be ready and prepared for. Here's their best player. Here's what she may do. And we're going to do what we do. So I think that, you know, like she mentioned, that, you know, that worked in our advantage for that as well. I think that what that does too, is we were just able to go in and play ourselves, you know, there's not that extra, like, oh my goodness, like there's not that extra overwhelmed when you're just going in and doing what you know how to do. So I think that, you know, that's similar to what happened on that day too.
That's really great. I mean, that's just great stuff. I mean, are you a coach right now? Do you coach volleyball?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
You gotta look.
I haven't like even seen a volleyball in like 10 years.
Oh,
but
wow. Well, you've got the language.
Me either.
Okay.
I'm like, if I could find a pickup game, I would buy.
January 15th. Mark your calendar, girls.
What is on January 15th?
We're doing, it's Bayshore Homecoming. We're
fun.
doing alumni game. So we're going to have an alumni volleyball game.
Wow. I'll have to start practicing in my backyard.
There you go.
Are you going to have EMS on standby for the rest of
I'm
the
down.
No, you'll be 9 months pregnant. Please don't come. Come, but you're not going to play.
Right. Yeah, Mel, when you started talking about doing all this alumni stuff, I was like, are you going to have oxygen available, paramedic? I mean, for somebody like me, I don't know, I'll be able to participate, but all these girls, I mean, they're barely a few years removed from their state championship, so they'll be ready to roll. Melanie, we're going to turn to you, and then ladies, we're going to go with our final series of questions. If you could be thinking about something special about Bayshore, a teacher, a classmate. I'm always, the alumni and I, whenever we talk through the Facebook page or whatever, always certain memories of the Red Top, Bayshore Boulevard, Ballast Point, that gas station that's still there across the street. I mean, there's any number of things. Before we get to those questions with the ladies, Mel, I'm going to turn to you and specifically ask this question. Where does this, well, hold on, I'm getting more comments on Facebook. Scott Crone says, thank you, ladies, for representing Bayshore with class on the court. You're awesome. John Michael Cabot, that's another long-term legacy, says, who's the Mount Rushmore for Bayshore volleyball? So I definitely want to do a show on that, but I don't know that you should say, Melanie, because you love all your players. So but where does this team stand in the pantheon of South Tampa volleyball or Hillsborough County volleyball? I mean, you got Tampa Prep, Berkeley Prep, and Bayshore. Where does this particular 07-08 school year 2007 champion match up with all those historical teams?
Good question. I remember at that point, our biggest rivalries were, as far as bigger schools, were Academy of Holy Names, Tampa Catholic. We might have played Berkeley or Tampa Prep, but we were no longer, or at the end, Bay Conference was starting to dismantle. Not yet. A couple of these girls made the all conference teams, but it was right around that time that those schools started to dismember from the Bay Conference. So we were more with the Tampa Catholic, Academy of Holy Names. Of course, Academy, at that time, I'm pretty sure the coach from Academy was also some of my girls' coaches. So that was always a fun one. You had to go just down the street, and they're a much bigger school. So, and we were successful beating them. So, to see your plant was always still a big one as well. And to have your picture in the paper on the front page, this was when there was paper, was Bayshore and Plant together. So to see our school represented just as well, if not more, than some of those bigger schools was really an honor for our school and for our players.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it before repeatedly on these podcasts, Bayshore Christian mattered. When I started my work career, this is repetitive, but downtown at the water cooler, hey, where'd you go to high school? I went to Bayshore Christian. Oh, I remember when y'all played Jesuit. And I mean, to have a school with the population of 300 or so nestled under those trees on South McDill impact so many aspects of life in Tampa, specifically with great athletes like we had homegrown, such as our volleyball championship teams, is really per capita unbelievable. It's extraordinary. And you hit it right on the head. I mean, so you say Plant, we had rivals like Academy, the two Tampa and Berkeley Prep. Really, there's no one else. I mean, it's Bayshore and a few others that dominated the landscape of volleyball in Hillsborough County for decades. That's a testament to these ladies and your coaching, and we're so glad we get to relive it here tonight. Last round of questions. We've had you all for almost 50 minutes, 55 minutes. I can't thank you enough. Ashley, your fondest memories of your time at Bayshore Christian, volleyball state champion. Who's a favorite teacher, favorite classmate that you remember from your time there at school?
I had a handful of favorite teachers, Mr. Fernandez, Mrs. Way, Mrs. Velez. They all were awesome. I just like being able to say, like, I graduated with 24 people, and most of them are friends with me on Facebook still. And a lot of them, we still communicate here and there, or it's like, oh my goodness, your kids are so big, or you're getting married. Like, so even though we're not connected and seeing each other every day, I still feel like I'm at Bayshore through Facebook, because everyone is still connected and everyone has grown up together in all reality. I mean, I started in K3. So a lot of the girls that I know and have spent most of my life with are still with me. So I think that's the biggest blessing coming out of Bayshore is the lifelong friends that end up becoming family. So that's probably my fondest memory is just having friends that really are family. Like there's not many memories that aren't without Sammy or Mel or Heather Johnson or Janica, or like they're just part of the staple of my life, really.
That is so awesome. I mean, again, like y'all have said it all night, and every episode's the same, whether it's talking to a former teacher, former boys basketball player, or the volleyball state champions. Family, family, family. It stays with you your whole life. That's tremendous to hear, and thank you for sharing that. Joyce, is it lunch on the red top? Is it a famous moment in chapel? Who are your most memorable moments or friends at Bayshore, teachers? Tell us what you remember from your time at the school.
Teacher wise, there's so many. I think I had all of them were my favorite for different reasons. I feel like I think different from all of them. Definitely Miss Way. I loved traveling with her. Mr. Prophet was always a favorite. Mr. Grimes as well. And I love some of these teachers even now. It's great because I see like Miss Colby, and it's great because sometimes they're there getting my child now out of car, getting her out of the car and taking her to class, which is really cool. I think a lot of like what we've even said, it's not the games or the memories of playing volleyball that really stick in our head. It's everything else that Mel really put into it. And the same with even Bayshore goes in that fact. It's not the classes that we had or necessarily each student around us, but it's just what Bayshore creates, the environment that you are in, that is there. And I love to see that how Bayshore has evolved from when I went there, growing up and being there, and then seeing now my little one there, what it's become and going to school plays, and seeing her excited for her school and her other classmates as well. Seeing her experience all of it is what I enjoy.
That's really awesome. That's really great. And thank you for sharing that. And we'll turn to Samantha. Like all of the ladies here, Bayshore legacy, the family is interspersed throughout the history of Bayshore. Tell us your fondest non-volleyball memory, favorite teacher, just those things you remember most from your time at Bayshore.
So like Ashley and Joyce, I was there, I think I was actually 2 when I started because I did kindergarten. K3 with Joyce's mom a couple times. They just like let me come.
What year is when you were 2 years old? What year was that? Can you share that?
92.
2, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I had Joyce's mom as my, kindergarten teacher, and then she did all of our, she traveled with the volleyball team the entire time. So it's pretty easy for me to be like, Miss Tomlin was my favorite teacher, but to be fair, I don't remember her as a teacher very much. But she was a huge and is still a huge part of Bayshore and Bayshore culture. Of course, I loved my mom, and she's a phenomenal teacher, but that's besides the point. And then Mr. Fernandez. I remember probably a lot more life lessons from Mr. Fernandez than I probably should. But
share with us one of those life lessons that you learned from Mr. Fernandez.
I think my favorite story that he ever told was in AP English, and it's one of the best things about, Mr. Fernandez and having Mr. Fernandez. He just randomly would look up from his work and just start telling you a story, and they were always the best stories. Like he talked about the fact that, and again, it's really silly, but your tailbone, the vibrations of your tailbone, they, with frogs, and I'm like, what are you talking about? But then he managed to like work it back into the lesson or the story that we had just read, and you're like, oh, okay. Whoa, I see where you were going with that. But if I can write a great paper that is poignant, and I can do it quickly because we had to. And, I know it's going to come across the way it needs to. And he taught us a lot. And having some alumni like Miss Cole, now Colby, and just, I mean, growing up with her, I think she was one of my TAs when I was in school and, elementary school. And then she was one of my middle school teachers. And then she taught anatomy to me. And that was a big pivotal class for me. Anatomy was. So, Bayshore is picky about their teachers, and for good reason. You don't have to worry about who, hopefully when Lexi's old enough, she will be able to go to Bayshore. We're gonna fight for it. But it's just one of those things, like, that you're getting quality when you go to Bayshore. And I feel like I had a good education and a good experience because, my mom taught there. And so we got to be able to go there because of that. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it. Everyone who's been to Bayshore knows that there's a thing. I mean, in the moment, you don't necessarily appreciate it while you're going to school. It's a small school, and I was there my entire life, and my mom taught there, and, it probably protected me from a lot of very, silly things. But it, looking back, I'm really just grateful. It's just one of those pivotal things that if anyone's ever looking for a school in the area, I'm like, Bayshore, you want to go see Bayshore. Trust me, you want to check it out. You won't be disappointed. And, it's a specific memory from back then. My brain's a potato because I have a small child and I'm building another one right now. So yeah, I couldn't tell you anything very specific other than Mr. Fernandez stories. I could probably do those all night, but
That was really good. That was really great. Oh man, that is awesome. And we're going to turn to Gabby now. And I tell everybody anyway, you don't understand how great it is to be a Bayshore Christian. If you don't go there, you're missing out. Gabby, your time at Bayshore, you are a state champion, 2007, 2008 school year. Your dad is Bayshore legacy, beloved man. What was your fondest memory of your time when you were at Bayshore?
I took from Bayshore one of my best friends. So I was best friends with Valencia King at Bayshore. She was on this team too, and we are still best friends. So it's one of my biggest blessings. Besides that, I was with my dad all the time, and I didn't know at the time how much I would cherish that, but so cherish those moments now. Being in his classroom after, being in the student lounge or the teacher's lounge, and taking naps after school and between practice, like just those types of memories that, you don't realize when you're an adult, you will hold so closely to you. So my time at Bayshore was very special.
That is really nice to hear. And Mel, we're going to close out with you. I mean, you have trained up these young ladies, and Valencia King, we should mention, I mean, we wanted her on the show. I wish we'd have connected with Gabby.
Should have told me.
Yeah, I apologize. I found her on Facebook and I sent a message, but if you're not friends, sometimes I don't see the message. So, but you trained up these young ladies. I mean, you can see what wonderful adult women they've become, accomplished. What are your final thoughts on the 07-08 team and on Bayshore itself? Because I'm just going to continually repeat, I mean, whether it's mission work, ministry work, teachers, stay-at-home moms, guys that work for Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Merck Laboratories, lawyers across the country, bankers. Per capita, Bayshore produces the very best in whatever endeavor our alums have pursued. What are your final thoughts on this team and the school and the dynasty that you built?
Wow, that's a lot. So I obviously think Bayshore is an amazing place because I came back. When I was coaching these ladies, I was an administrator in the public school system. Always knew at some point I'd come back to Bayshore, or not come back, but actually go to Bayshore and work. I just didn't know when. And so it's always, as an alum myself, it's always held such a special place. And so like so many people say, people talk about marketing being an easy element. It's hard to put those emotions and put family into a marketing strategy. You almost have to experience it. And with this group of girls, we certainly did do that. There are a lot of strong personalities, and they were determined, and they are still strong and determined, and they're amazing Christian women. I follow them all on Facebook. I'm watching all of their children grow up. I think it's absolutely amazing. Thank goodness for technology, so we can all stay connected in that way. But so many seeds were planted, and the seed that they planted in my life too. So what they don't realize is that they were planting seeds in my children's life. So while we're all running around in my house, I now have my daughter who is helping me coach, because she has been with this group, these ladies, since she was, let's see,
Little.
7 years old, 8 years old. So she was the other redhead. We had Ashley and we had Allison. And she used to say, this is my mini me. And so, the determination of these ladies it still carries them through, all of them. And, I was honored to be a part of their lives, but the thing that sets them apart is their determination and passion. They set a goal. They, like I said, now it was an expectation, and they were like, we're not letting anybody down. And they certainly didn't. And they rose to the occasion, and they played together. And, it's like Gabby said, when you talk about memories, like, oh, that did happen, or, oh, what team was that? I can't remember. I can't remember yesterday. It's fabulous to hear bits and pieces from everybody, because then it brings it all back to life. And sure, it was 14 years ago, but now it's not so long ago.
Oh my.
So,
Well, ladies, we can't thank you enough that you gave us this little over an hour of your time to share from that memorable 2007 state championship team. 28-5, district champs, state champions, beat down of Academy of Holy Names, which makes me happy. Beating down Cambridge makes me even happier. What a great, it's been an honor and a privilege to get to know you here in this podcast. I appreciate it greatly. I know the alumni appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your time at Bayshore and the program that you helped deliver. What a dynasty it was, and under Mel will continue to be. Ladies, again, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time.
good to see everybody.
Good to see you. Bye. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.